This is action and comics. We're looking at some more Electric Superman. This is 732, and it is continuing Superman's fight with Blazing Skull. I have seen a lot of people directing hate at this story again, out on that Twitter machine, and I am fed up of that. It's all pricks who have not read it, but they hate it in concept or idea, or because a twat like Kurt Busey or Martin Quaid said that it was stupid and embarrassing. A story should be judged on its own merits, not invalidated and made into a joke by crap writers who need to deflect onto other stories to try and make their own work stand out. Electric Superman, I admit I'm not that into the final act with two different Electric Supermans, but it was an idea, it was worth exploring, it was pursued for creative reasons, and a lot of it was mostly well done. We begin with Tusk, the alien from Xandar. He is walking around in the snow since he was accidentally transported here from his own world. We also have Superman. He conveniently shows up there. His electric powers have drawn him there on account of a satellite dish. This issue is written by David Michelinie. I didn't have a great deal of love for his work. He's fine here. He's usually best when he is writing someone else's plots or he is co-writing. His Spider-Man stuff, I have pointed towards that before. Those issues are good by themselves, but if you read more than one at a time, it is clear as day that they all follow the exact same writing template. The first 11 pages are talking and setup, and then the last 11 are pages of action, without fail every issue. This doesn't follow that format, but I would say that this is effectively co-written. I think that of all the Superman books, for years they were basically all co-plotted between the 4 or 5 Superman writers. Like all the setup for this issue, a lot of the ideas. This is as much as co-written with the group, or at least the writer who did part 1. The script, all the dialogue, obviously that is all David Michelinie, but I didn't know how much of the plot you could argue is his and isn't just him resolving part 1. On the other hand, maybe David Michelinie, he was just as involved with all the ideas and the plot for part 1, and the writer of that issue, kal-el, maybe he was mostly just scripting and it was David Michelinie' plot. Who cares about the ins and outs of the authorship of the 90s Superman line? Tusk, he is holding onto a helicopter, which will take him to a more populated area. Our plot is a simple one. Blazing Skull is on the loose, and Superman is having trouble handling him, because Superman's powers have been tampered with. He's barely in control of them. One of his new powers, which we are seeing for the first time here, is the ability to travel at sublight speed, like warp speed. He can basically teleport really, but via the medium of electricity. We hadn't seen that in the previous 2 issues, and within the first 6 pages of this book, we have seen him use it 3 separate times. He doesn't have a great deal of control over it. We have a bit with Lois offering herself as a hostage to get Blazing Skull to stop his attack. Blazing Skull, he is a baddie who thinks he is an adventurer like Indiana Jones, and that he is always fighting the dastardly villains who have kidnapped his love interest. He thinks he's in like a 1930s adventure film. So Lois decides to pretend to be his love interest as a means to get him to back down from senselessly destroying everything. Some kids have found Superman's discarded costume, and we see Superman do his warp speed thing again. I wonder if David Michelinie got a memo saying that Stan Jurgensen and Callum Cazzazel, they had forgotten to set up Superman's practically instantaneous teleporting ability. So David Michelinie, he went overboard in trying to firmly establish this as one of Superman's main new powers. The thing is, this whole idea with Superman's powers being messed around and changed, there really isn't anything wrong with it. I don't know why all these miserable people hate on this story. I get not liking changes to your favourite character, but this isn't a change, it's a story. Maybe at the time I understand not liking it because you might have thought that it would be permanent, but what is wrong about doing a little story where you swap out Superman's powers, where you give him a new look? Just a little story where you can explore a few new ideas or give him a fresh set of challenges. This is done well. It's not a bunch of vain pricks trying to redefine or remodel Superman. It's writers trying to do something a bit different and a bit new. Maybe you didn't like the writing, that is fair, maybe it's not for you, but so much of the hate, it's based purely on hearsay and this twisted narrative that these are bad comics. Superman, he has to ride around in a police car because he cannot rely on his flying powers. That's a fun little idea. He also detects a truck exporting nuclear waste. He was trying to track Blazing Skull, but his electric spider sense or whatever, instead it got distracted by the toxic chemicals. Fans of Lewis will like this. This is some of the classic no-nonsense action girl Lewis. Even when facing something that she should be frightened by, she's still hands-on and cunning. We set up some stuff with the power plant that was moving those barrels. Then we have this ridiculous 90s idea with Superman. Well, his hand, it phases through a computer monitor. And then he becomes one with the internet, stream, data, digital web, cyberspace, man. Even his eyes are in binary, dude. And with all this information flowing through his brain, he is able to locate Blazing Skull, and they have a fight. We also have some more subplot about nuclear waste. I think they might be setting something up here, people. Because you say Superman and Blazing Skull, when they are fighting, they become aware of the hazardous materials, and they have got to work together to save everyone from it. Superman, he tries to use his new powers to handle all the radiation, and what happens is he ends up absorbing all the energy into himself. And then Blazing Skull, he is repaid for his helping out by being tricked by Lewis using a rod to negate his powers. And Superman, he is worried about what is happening to himself, and that is how we close out the issue. Letters, they are all still raving about Superman getting married. I will say one thing about this Blazing Skull two-parter. I do feel like they never quite engaged in giving us a proper brawl between the hero and the villain. We had very occasional bits, but often they would get distracted fast by either Superman's new powers or, in this one, toxic waste. I still think it's a fine story, a nice contained piece with Superman fighting a baddie, but the real concern is actually himself. I'm going to rate this comic a 7 thumbs up.